Hey guys, welcome back to A Story with Rory, the podcast. I am your host, and this evening we have a very special guest, Moss. He is calling from the U.S., I believe,
Oh
and
yeah,
he has a very awesome, interesting story tonight. So, what's up, Moss? Where are you calling from, and what's your story?
man, I'm over here in North Carolina. My story. I'm out inside of Iraq, 2007, on my way to Tower Guard, and I look around and I see everybody looking up inside of the sky. Like I look up toward the sky, and I see this big old V-shaped craft,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just like a V. It wasn't like no stealth aircraft that we have now or anything like that. This thing was like massive. I can't even tell you like the scale that I did see, but it was black. It was like a black metallic, like a gun metal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the bottom were these big old circles, and they were lights. And on one side it was four, on the other side it was three. So if you could imagine at the tip, at the tip right here, like it was one big old one, and
Mm-hmm.
all of them were the same size. And then it was like you see one right here, one right here, one right here, one right here, and then on the other side you still got the one right here, and then there was another one, another one, another one, and they were like perfectly like spaced out, and you couldn't really hear the aircraft, but it was like a hum.
Mm-hmm.
It was humming, and you could feel it like it was just energy that you could feel while it was going past, and it was going past like pretty slow. And I remember like feeling like a little faint after, like when it was going off, when it was about to disappear and everything. You saw the lights, and one light shut off, and then I started trying to count the lights again. And before I could count again, the light switched up again. And I couldn't really like process like how many lights it was because they changed rapidly. But as they were like changing and stuff, you could hear like different tones on the
Huh.
spacecraft. Like you could hear it like and the vibrations were like changing up. But as the tones and the vibration and the lights sped up and they were like changing like different lights and stuff, that's when it went off and it just disappeared. It didn't disappear like fast. It just flew like this slow and
Yeah,
then
just
just disappeared. Like it just
trailed
vanished.
off.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. Was this during the daytime?
Yes. It was during the day. It was about to be night, like you could tell the sun was setting in and everything, but
Uh-huh.
it wasn't like pure day and it wasn't like night yet.
Right, just fixing to be sunset and all that.
Yeah.
Um, how many people saw this?
Man, it was a lot of people looking up. But
Right.
this the crazy thing, right? And I sound like I'm crazy for saying this. I asked some of my battle buddies today, and they like, yeah, I don't remember that, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I stay in contact with a lot of them now, but it's like they don't remember it. And I remember like different people. I'm not gonna mention their names and everything because I understand about this subject. But I remember talking to him on the way to Tower Guard. I remember when he was getting off of Tower Guard and we shook up and you know everything that you do when you changing over guard,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when it happened. And that same person that was looking up, and I'm sorry from all right, so everybody that was looking up, it was like something left them, and their heads was just up looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was and it felt like I was the only one. Like it was kind of like a dream. Like I would look down, and I'll look at everybody else, like looking at it, and I'm asking questions, and nobody would answer me. They were just looking up. So I don't know if like something got erased inside of them, or I don't know. But after it passed and everything, it's like they came to, and then they went off to do whatever they needed to do.
Kind of like they were like hypnotized for a minute.
Yeah, and I felt like I was hypnotized also,
Mm-hmm.
and that was crazy. And this is a big thing for me. Directly after that, I think like a day or two after that, they announced that it was going to be a surge in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And they extended our deployment because of the surge. But I don't know if they were like sending a message to the leadership. I don't know if they were, if it was something like that. But directly after that, every single thing ramped up, like
Right.
on both sides.
Right. That's wild, man. That's the first UFO sighting that I've heard of since, or anyone that was active service, at that time that witnessed something like that. That's pretty incredible. And you said it was like about the size. You think it's like too big to guesstimate how big it was, or you?
Yeah, I was airborne. I jumped out of big old airplanes. I done jumped small airplanes. I done jumped out of helicopters. I done jumped out of everything.
Hmm.
This was bigger than anything that I've ever jumped out of.
Oh wow.
C-130s, Globe Masters. This thing was big. Like,
Yeah.
um, it was
Well,
it was huge.
well, thank you for your service as also.
Thank you.
um, but that is, that's pretty incredible to see something that massive, and especially like if other people, it's like maybe they were trying to process what they were seeing, but also maybe they're being, hypnotized. You just never know.
I this me speaking personally. Like, this is my opinion because I'm not a person to put probes on people and like read their minds and stuff. But they were like, everybody was in a trance, and I felt something crazy myself. It felt, I'm not gonna say like I couldn't move, but it looked like everybody else couldn't move. It looked like they were just fixated. They
Right.
were like, they weren't turning their head. They were just looking up, and it was it was pretty much like a trance. Like,
How close do you think this thing was, this aircraft or this craft?
man, um, I would have to say like it was closer than the height that I jumped out of airplanes as being airborne.
Okay.
I can't really tell you like the footage or anything like that, but it was pretty close. It wasn't like enough to scrape anything, like not even at that point, but it was like close that you could see like every single detail. And the crazy thing about it, like, there wasn't like much detail to it at all. It was just a V,
Right.
like a 3D V that was flying, like a box letter V, I should say,
Right.
with the lights at the bottom. It didn't have any writings on it. It didn't like really reflect with the sun. It didn't like have any reflections on it from the ground. It didn't. It was just lights at the bottom, four on one side, three on the other,
Hmm.
and no propulsion. You did not hear any propulsion at all. Like, no rockets, no, like, you know what a helicopter sound like. You know what a F-15. You know
Right.
what all of these birds sound like flying past. Like, it wasn't anything like that. It was like, it was something that like I don't even know how to explain it really. It was like a lot of power coming off of this bad boy.
Right. And there's experimental craft out there, but you don't think that's anything that like maybe we have reverse engineered or anything like that.
Man, I'm just this is just me speaking. this was something like it wasn't us. It
Right.
wasn't. I done seen a lot of like craft. I done seen like this. This is not nothing we had in theater like that I know of. I don't know what the government got planned on this side or that side, but this was 2007. So by now, if they were researching or if they were like trying to create something from
Hmm.
back then to now, we probably would have seen like different things of it. Now, I was watching Ancient Aliens. I
Hmm.
was I was watching that, and they had like a drawing or like a what do you call that? Like they made a video of a craft that was up inside of a V shape, and that was the same exact craft that I seen back then. And this is like years later. So I think like people probably been like describing this thing like over the years, and they finally had like a rendition of it. And what I seen it in the way that it was flying and how slow it was, I'm like, yo, that is the thing that I saw right there.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
like I'm not the only person that saw that.
man. So, did you and your buddies talk about it afterwards, or was it just kind of like hush hush?
I tried to talk to people about it, but they don't remember. And I remember talking. I had linked up with two other battle buddies. They inside of different states and everything like that. They linked up and they was like, "Hey, what is Moss doing?" So they hurried up and called me, and I asked them about it because I remember seeing their faces out there,
Hmm.
and they laughed and they said, "Yeah, I don't. No, I don't remember anything close to that."
Hmm. I mean, for all they could have been hypnotized, or it's not something that's not uncommon to when people encounter stuff like that to where they feel like they can't move, they feel like they can't think straight, stuff like that. I don't know if that has anything to do with what they're looking at or if they're just kind of in shock. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, I guess it's kind of tough to decipher on what actually is going on there because no one's been able to really experiment with that kind of thing before. But I mean, I know fear can definitely make you um, feel like kind of like you're in a trance, but I don't know what you're describing to me. Kind of sounds like it's a little bit different than that.
So I was on an infantry file, and this was during the surge, like right before the surge. But these guys are not the freeze in the moment type of dudes.
Right.
Like these are airborne paratrooper infantry. Some of them rangers. Some of them like these are hua type individuals that go and hunt humans and
Hmm.
don't fear nothing. They will dive in front of everything, and they just stop and pause. Everybody staring the
Yeah,
same
that's
direction.
weird. I mean, fight or flight or freeze, and they're fighters, so they're not gonna
Yeah,
they're not gonna freeze, and they're not gonna flee. So yeah, it's completely out of characteristic for them to probably do that.
yeah, and it that I don't know. It's hard to you can't talk to everybody about this, but if you look at the court of law, right, and you ask the court of law, does God exist? They can't prove that. But with all of the evidence that we have of aliens, which me personally, I'm about to put one and two in the same. Like, if you seen like, I remember one day like we had a unit ahead of us. It was a reserve unit,
Hmm.
and these guys were getting attacked and stuff. You could hear on the radio, RPG, all this boom, 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 and we were hungry. And we racing toward them. We knew what we was about to get inside of some stuff. We ready to go. We're hoo. And I seen the F-15 come through. They needed that much help. It was a bad situation. And you could see this technology just coming through on the side of your truck. It will rock your truck on the side, and then it'll come up above a village and pop flares, and then directly go up and then go off and disappear inside of the sky.
Hmm.
And if I was an ancient individual and I see that, and I'll probably think to myself like, "Yo, that is God, or that's an angel, or there's something like that of that aspect." This technology that I saw that day
Hmm.
is far more superior than the most superior aircraft that I've seen in our arsenal.
And that's
It
saying
didn't have
something. So,
it didn't have to do no maneuvers. It was just a hum. It was just a speed. Like a regular aircraft that size cannot go that slow.
right,
It wasn't it wasn't going with like how gravity works. It went with something else.
right.
Like it was something else in play that I don't think like the average human knows about.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that 100%. Like, I don't know if you saw that video on YouTube and whatever source where they saw the sun and it was spewing out solar plasma, and
Yeah,
they saw this circular UFO or some kind of
it
craft.
was sucking up the plasma.
Hmm.
I seen that. Yeah,
It makes me wonder if solar plasma is like a fuel source, for that kind of crap. I mean, I don't know. I'm just it just kind of makes you wonder, like, because I mean, look at how many stars there are. You can't count them all,
yeah.
and the fact that I mean that's like unlimited fuel.
And
So,
look, then you got to think about it this way: every star got planets around it.
hmm,
Every star has planets around it inside of that Goldilocks zone.
right,
That makes infinite possibilities for life.
hmm,
Infinite. Like there's no number to put on that. Like it would be virtually impossible for it not to be life anywhere else.
right, and it's a balance. Every solar system, every you know has complexity of balance. Every star, like, every planet, all has complexity of balance, and it all uh, relies on you know other planets and other things to be in balance. And people would say like, what if we didn't have Pluto? What if we didn't have Mars or whatever, nuke the moon, all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, you have to have. I believe you have to have all that for balance. You have to have all that. God made it for a reason. So if you take something like that out, then I don't want to think of what would happen. I mean, if we didn't have the moon, it'd be catastrophic. But if we didn't have any other planets either, if these other solar systems didn't have any planets, it would be, I would think it'd be bad deal.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that for sure. It's just unlimited. It's kind of like, when a sound wave travels, it just keeps going and going till it
hmm
kind of fizzles out. Well, I mean, to me, it would make sense, when God spoke creation to existence, that He spoke it, and it's just being creation. Creation is just like keeps going and going, kind of like a sound wave, and it's just there's just no end to it, because how vast. How I mean, you got to look how vast everything is. I mean, they're still trying to find the origin of the universe, and they can't. It's
yeah.
like it's wild, but
And I made different correlations too. Like I'm not like a religious person. Like I don't like to classify myself as this, that, or the other, or anything. But I believe that there is a higher power. But let's just say the stories of we could say the stories of most major religions, right? Um, they say that these angels came down to earth and they taught man how to make swords, how to make shields, how to do war. And this is before Noah and the flood story. And I look at now, like directly after Roswell, look what technology we got.
yeah, like
We
how do we
got
get a cell phone so fast? In the last,
night vision,
yeah,
computer chips,
yeah,
rockets. Like you got this explosion of technology.
Industrial
Right
Revolution,
after
yeah.
Roswell. That
Yeah.
should tell you something. Like any court of law in the land, they will say 100%, like there are aliens out here. And I really feel like aliens and these people that we call angels, these people that we call gods, these people that we call all of this, like they're one and the same. Like they have knowledge that we don't have. Um, they teach us. I think that it's a lot of stuff that they teaching us so it could go further, or like maybe it was a mistake. Maybe we getting this off of failed crafts. Um, do I feel like we have been like we'll be invaded, or I really feel like they already here. I think like just like inside of any country, like we could have ambassadors and different things like that.
Mhm.
Um, it's not a reason to kill off the Earth species, us, the humans. It's not a reason for that. If you could utilize us,
Right.
just like we need resources, they need resources. Like if they travel from all the way over here to over here, it's not good to destroy us over here because there's resources over here.
Right.
So
That
I
makes you
think it's
wonder.
all one and the same, bro.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. It's like, are there resources here, and that's the reason why we see UFOs and we see all sorts of like possible alien encounter type stuff, or is it, they don't want us to blow ourselves up with nukes? I mean, there's just been what I get is like, yeah, we've seen stuff here recently, but like, come on, 1952 when there was this, like a whole bunch of UFOs flying over Washington D.C., the
Oh
most
yeah,
like protected area in the country, in our country. It's like, and we had nothing to defend ourselves from that. So it's like
no,
that technology was out then. Like that's way before above us. What we can create. And I know there's aircraft out there that they're working on cloaking, and they've got stuff that, I mean, there's an area kind of by where I live where they fly craft, they do training. They fly craft that, we'll see it and then it'll turn a certain angle and then we won't see it, and it's just because of the way it's angled, because of kind of mirror technologies on it or something.
uh huh.
Um, it's weird. I can't explain it. I know it's not aliens, but I think it's something that we're working on, that just hasn't come out yet. You know what I mean? It's just
Do you think it's alien technology?
very possible. Absolutely. I
Do you
mean,
think like the way that we avoid radar? I already talked about night vision. I was seeing a show where they seen lenses. One moment, please.
okay.
You got a charger, love? I'm sorry. I got one. I apologize. I know. I'm a family man.
Hey, that's
That's
all
what
good.
we do. We get back
Yeah, I
and forth and we
understand.
make babies.
I understand you.
Oh yeah. Um. Yeah, man. That is some different technology, and that's something that we. Come on, man. We were just playing. We were just flying paper airplanes. Just flying paper airplanes that could barely live, and then we get over to Roswell, and now we got jet propulsion.
Yeah,
Now
like
we got the nuclear bomb. Now we got
we had a steam engine in 1888. One of the first implemented steam engines, not the actual like design of it and all that, but one of the first ones that was actually drivable, steam engine wagon. Um, and
mhm.
we're here 120 years later or so, and we got cars that can basically drive themselves. And I'm like, we go from a
Yeah.
steam powered wagon to a car that can drive itself in 120 years. Like, that's more than industrial revolution. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just why didn't it
And
happen
you
100
could
years ago or before that? But I mean, you could talk about that all day
you could
long,
look
and
at
it's crazy.
yeah, and like just any come on, man, the internet.
Yeah, where did that
Directly after that, the
come from?
United States and Russia put up thousands of nuclear devices ready to go at any moment at each other.
Hmm.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And that's without using the internet or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean that.
And you could look at different energy sources, right?
Right.
Different energy sources like what Nikolai Tesla was up there experimenting with. Um we got
I'm
that
guessing.
technology today, but
I'm guessing you
what did you
watched
say?
Skywalker Ranch.
Uh a little bit, but not really too much.
Gotcha. Well, it's a.
But what were you
I
trying to
mean,
get at with that?
oh no, I was wanting to know if you ever watched the show because there's a lot of a lot of things about like electromagnetic frequency stuff like that. A lot, I mean, propulsion has to come from somewhere. That we engineered so much, but
Yeah.
we know there's propulsion out there that we haven't discovered on how it operates. Basically, we don't know all the ins and outs. Like propulsion without a chemtrail at all. We don't know. Like using some kind of anti-gravity source to move, or electromagnetic force to move from point A to point B. So you're basically pulling yourself from, like, because what happens when you put magnets together? They stick. What happens when you go apart? They push. So it's almost
Mhm.
kind of like, I've heard theories that alien technology is kind of like that. Like it basically knows how to swap the polars, um, or polarities in an object, and that's why there's always more than one flying around. But I don't, I mean, it's just speculation. People don't really know. It's just kind of
So if we look at like I don't know how they travel black holes, but even if they travel with like black holes, they're either above our time or forward of our time.
right,
There's no way to figure out what time it is. You're bending time traveling through black holes if there's a way that they do travel. Um Different things like that, like they could be billions of years ahead of us inside of technology.
right,
And I feel like I say I correlate different things with the Bible. And the thing about God is like his knowledge is unfathomable.
hmm,
Like it will never be something that we could really process inside our brains, like his language, every single thing about it. And that sound like somebody that been here for billions of years before us. Like you could speak to a giraffe, and a giraffe is not going to know how this vehicle drives or how this airplane flies. There is no way that that giraffe could even process that. And I think that's the level that we at. Yeah, we're good enough to reverse engineer some stuff if it crash, but understanding them all the way around, no, especially if they were here like the pyramids, right? They're way older than what we think that they are. Like this is like super duper prehistoric man building these megalithic structures.
right,
And now we figuring out that they are carrying like they carry energy. They were here for different purposes than what we thought before. We don't know the dynasty that built these things because they figuring out now that they are way older than what they had expected.
right,
um but they are inside of like the same line as Orion's belt. But you see a whole bunch of cultures around the world speaking that their god came from Orion's belt. Until recently, we figured out that it's actual planets with water on them that's circling like those stars.
Hmm.
And that's the crazy thing because Orion's belt been here way longer than Earth, billions of years before Earth. So if all of that correlates together, we got people with way more knowledge, way more time as a head start, way more everything than we get.
Right.
And we wouldn't be able to fathom or process anything about them that they don't want us to know.
Right. That's very interesting. I mean, time will only tell on, understanding some of that stuff, just not even all of it, just trying to, a little bit. But yeah. Um, yeah, your sighting was definitely interesting because you probably weren't ever thinking about that you were going to see that
No.
while you were overseas. Like you think, oh, at home I'll see that, but not over here, in the Middle East for sure. But Moss, I
You
wanted to thank you tonight. Thank you for your story, and that probably concludes our podcast for this evening. But man, that is one heck of an experience you have, and I just wanted to thank you for your service and thank you for being on the show tonight. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you too. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to subscribe as soon as I get off of here. I'm getting on.
Awesome. I
All right.
appreciate it. Tell your friends, and I'll send you to the link in to the show and everything. So you got to take care and you have a good night. Okay.
Hey, you too, brother. All
All
right.
right. See you later.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching A Story with Rory, and until next time, we're out.